Today we're shooting a vegan French onion soup that is so good you're gonna want to slap your mama. Come on. Okay, so I don't actually recommend that you slap your mom. You'll likely get in trouble no matter how old you are, but this is some dang good soup that will have you scraping up the bottom of your bowl. It is also probably the longest soup that you will ever make in your life, so that's your warning. Okay, so to start, we are going to need a bunch of onions because it's an onion-based soup. And to clarify, in case you live under a rock and you've never heard of French onion soup, it's basically a ton of onions inside of a broth topped with bread and cheese. So basically it's like a soggy sandwich. So the variety of onions we are using are white, sweet, yellow, and red. Typically you do not caramelize red onions because they turn a grayish color. However, this is going into a broth, so that doesn't really matter, but the mild flavor makes this even better. If you don't want to buy 52 different types of onions, then you can just use some yellow ones. Okay, so now we are just going to slice up all of our onions. In case you didn't know, you can clap your hands like they do in those silly little videos and they will all be instantly chopped. And voila, you have all of your onions nice and thinly chopped. You do want to chop them very nice and thinly. That makes them caramelize even better. Just make sure that you don't chop off any of your fingers because no one likes fingers in their soup, not even the non-vegans. All right, so once you have all your onions sliced, you are going to grab a heavy bottom pot. I like using a Dutch oven. And then we are going to add in some vegan butter and just let that melt. Yes, you can also use oil. Once all of your butter has melted, you are gonna add all of your onions into your pot, and then we are going to stir that together until all of the onions are coated inside of that butter. And now we are going to wait a ridiculous amount of time for the onions to do what it takes spinach about 30 seconds to do, which is wilt down. What I actually mean by that is you're going to cook and stir your onions every 5 minutes from anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes on medium-low until they completely caramelize. For the love of God, do not try to rush this process by turning up your heat in order to get your onions to caramelize faster, because then you are just going to have a pot of soup that tastes like garbage, which is worse than a pot of soup that has bits of fingers in it. After 10 minutes, you are going to add in some salt. This will help draw out the moisture and make sure that they caramelize correctly. And then just stir that together again and then repeat the process of stirring and cooking down for every 5 minutes. If at any point you feel like your onions are starting to burn to the bottom of your pot, one, make sure to turn down your heat, but also you can add a splash, like a tablespoon of water or stock each time to prevent that burning. So around the 20-25 minute mark, you will start to feel like you want to rush this process, but trust me, please do not rush the process. Just let them cook down as slowly as they need to. Some browning is okay, and that's actually what you want to see. However, you don't want to see it actually burning on the bottom of your pot. Once your onions have caramelized, they should look like glorious sticky pieces of deliciousness like this. Now we are going to add in our flour, and then we are going to stir to coat those all together. We're using all-purpose flour here, but you can use a gluten-free flour, whether it's a 1-to-1 blend or a single one like chickpea flour or an almond flour at this part. Now add in half of your stock, and then you are just going to scrape up any of those bits that are on the bottom of your pan and make sure that those go into your soup. French onion soup is traditionally made with beef broth, so we are using these vegan beef cubes. We will link those in the description box. If you cannot find those, you can use mushroom broth. Even if you don't like mushrooms, use the mushroom broth. If you cannot find either of those, then yes, you can use vegetable stock. Now add in the rest of your stock, as well as some vegan white wine and our thyme. Stir that together and let it simmer for about 30 minutes. So while that is cooking, you are going to take a baguette and you are going to cut it into about 1-inch slices, and then we are going to brush that with oil on both sides and then bake it until it is golden perfection. We do have a homemade baguette recipe that we will link in the description box, but store-bought is just as fine. So as soon as your bread and your soup are done, it is time to assemble it all together. We like using these cute little mini Dutch ovens. You can also use oven-safe bowls if you would prefer. There is also instructions inside of the blog post for how to do it inside of a bigger oven-safe dish like a Dutch oven if you were cooking in that to begin with. All right, so to start, we are going to put in some of the bread into the bottom. We are going to sprinkle that with a little bit of vegan Parmesan cheese, and then you are going to pour your soup over top of it. Once your soup is in the bowl, you are going to top it with some more bread, and then we are going to layer that with some vegan mozzarella cheese. Once you have all of your little bowls assembled, or however you are assembling it, you are going to put this back into the oven for 30 minutes until your cheese is nice and bubbly and melty. I warned you that this took a long time. So now that they're finished and it's 10 p.m. and you already ate dinner because it took so long, you can go to bed. Just kidding, eat your dang soup. Just so you guys know that that little hand clap thing doesn't work. I just didn't want you guys to see me cry while I cut these 73 onions. Oh my God, it's so bad.